Yo, people, come back to the Fix Podcast. It's going on here with Ari and Javi, and we have a pair of special guests in the building, all the way from alma mater. Javi is in the best university in all of the land.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
UTech
burned out.
University.
Burned out.
Yeah. Special guest in the building. President of UTech Students Union, Mr. Rick Darby, and Director of Community Service, Miss. Well, I say master, it's a Miss.
Yeah, man.
Moy-ann Reid. There we go.
You going too fast.
Yeah, I didn't learn how to read from UTech. Yeah, and they're here to talk about the AIDS epidemic on the campus.
What the?
You, maybe you have it. I'm just breaking the ice. I'm just breaking the ice. No. AIDS. My mind said just go AIDS on it.
Just go right there.
Let's go right at AIDS.
Wow.
You guys have proper testing, right? Like, yeah.
That iron jumping right into
And I carry it on.
No, I'm serious. I asked him.
There is a med center, so the med center they can do testing, etc. So they test for everything.
Yeah.
It was a jokey joke.
It was a joke.
No, fuck you.
It was school proper. Our school have everything there.
Anyways.
Welcome, though. Bless. It's nice to have students here that we can actually talk to and gauge their opinions on certain things that's going on.
Yeah.
Whole lot of things to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Chief among them is a campaign that you guys have. So I just want to tell the people about the campaign.
All right, so Teach Youth is a summer school program that was started in 1999 by our council, where we go into the inner city communities and we teach the students for 2 weeks. And this would vary a lot of topics such as, math, English. We're doing HFLE, where we're introducing restorative justice, emotional intelligence, basic conflict resolution. We also dabble in sports and art and culture, because especially for culture, we realize that part of us is really dying as we get older. So it's just really establish it and give the students something to look forward to in the little summer break.
Point of information, what you mean culture? Like vague. So you teach them about like Jamaican, like Miss Lou and...
Right.
Okay.
So Miss Lou and Nancy stories, the folk songs, the ring games. Because if you realize these kids nowadays, they don't really know those things. People younger than me, them don't really know what all of that is about. So this is us just trying to keep the culture alive while they get older.
You realize, you say it died because of the pandemic, and you guys reintroduced it last year. So last year you had the same curriculum in terms of cultural exchange.
Right, and every year we revise it so that the same students aren't learning the same thing over and over.
So you find, especially with the cultural aspect of the curriculum, you find that the children are excited to learn it?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
We actually have a culture day which falls into the second week, where they have to learn a song and learn the poems and come and perform. And they're really excited. Them dress up, they decorate the place, they're all for it.
Nice. What's the age group that you have?
So the broad age group is from 6 to 18, and the intermediate age groups are 6 to 9, 10 to 13, and 14 to 18.
Okay.
How long the program run for?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. What type of activities, if you can delve into more detail?
Within the culture curriculum or overall?
Overall, yeah.
All right. So usually it's just, worksheets, learning the songs, and they have a big sports day at the end of it. But this year we're actually taking a project-based approach, because we've realized that now, especially going into PEP is for developing their reasoning and their critical skills, as well as now we're becoming more practical in the world. So we have introduced a series of projects for each age group. So as they learn, they apply the skills that they learn to build something. So for example, in the 10 to 13 age group, they're actually modeling a building when they're finished. So as they learn, like actually creating a building out of cartridge paper, cardboard.
Yeah.
So whilst they learn, for example, in math, they would learn measurement, how to use a ruler, how to get specific dimensions. And then they would apply that by saying, all right, I need this building to be a foundation of 10 by 12. So they would actually measure it, cut it out, have it there. And as they go along each day, they build until they have a finished product that they know. And then that's something that they can actually take home to show that, say, Mommy, me do this at school. And,
That's nice. Is it a competition or just like for fun?
No, it's just for fun.
Okay.
Right. So For the first week, it's strictly just learning. So the hours span from 9 to 2:30.
Okay.
In the second week, the Wednesday, we'll have the culture day where they will decorate, perform, so on and so forth. And then the last Friday, they have their grand sports day at UTech Front Field.
Okay.
So they come and they participate in all the races. They're super excited. They do cheerleading. They do football. It's a big thing.
Okay.
Yes. Sounds fun.
I'm like, why like more school though?
You want to say more school?
Yeah, I never really appreciated when my mother forced me to go summer school, but I guess it's fun for them to.
I mean, that's the thing, you think you'd have to force them, but they're actually really excited. They
Yeah.
look forward to it every year.
Yeah.
Plus, we provide food. So we provide
Of
food.
course,
So that's
that's
a
a-
plus.
yeah.
And it's free. So
Mm-hmm.
and they're actually learning what they want to. So different types of food. So we prepare different meals on a daily basis. It depends on the sponsorship that we get. So usually it's chicken and rice because everybody typically eats that. But then we have different sponsors who come on board so we can prepare different stuff. So currently we've got a lot of tin food. So we are planning to have breakfast because we haven't been able to provide breakfast because, as you know, it's a very costly program because catering to over 500 kids.
Oh, wow.
It's for 2 weeks. It's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
So it depends on all the sponsorship that we get. Then we can dabble into different areas.
Yeah. Right, because I was about to say that you guys serve the Papine area. So it's many schools in the Papine area. You're not servicing just one particular school. So is that, do the children congregate at UTech or you go to the different schools?
We go to them. So we would
Okay.
have our established centers in the specific communities that we go to.
Okay, so it's a day per day.
Yeah, per day.
Okay. So how many schools are you?
Currently, we have 6. So that would be Sandy Park, Hermitage, Augustone, Tavern, Kintyre, and Highlight View.
And I guess it's because it's closer to UTech, that's why.
Yeah.
Right, and you mentioned Brunswick, so I saw that the information that you provided, the proposal, you can hold it. The information that you provided, you had sponsors like Digicel and Sagicor. So are these same people on board still or currently? Or
Well, currently no. So our confirmed sponsors so far we have Heart NSTA. They've always
Nice.
been a sponsor. They provide us with the volunteers that help us to teach throughout the program. We have Brunswick now. They came on board, so they're providing a lot of food stuff, some books as well, and bags for the kids. We have Salada. We have Cal's. We have GIS. They're a media partner. They provide coverage throughout the program on a yearly basis.
Okay.
Yeah. And Nationwide is one of our sponsors as well. So we have some sponsors on board and we're still looking for more because, as I said, it's a huge program and we're catering to over 500 kids. So we're looking for more sponsors to come on board.
okay, cool.
Okay, that's cool.
Nice.
One thing we definitely want to talk to, you about seeing that young students go to school, the ride sharing ban, right? And how it affect as youth, as students. First of all, when you heard of the ban itself, what were your thoughts?
Well, in terms of the ban, one of the first things that came to mind was, all right, the convenience is gone. But then you start thinking about the safety, and we understand that the regulations need to be put in place for us to have safer rides. Because while convenience is good, safety is of paramount. So we have to ensure that there are different safety checks that are put in place. So we understand the reason for the ban, but the 12 months was kind of a stretch, but we also understand why it had to happen. And we understand that different regulations need to come in place. For example, them establishing offices here in Jamaica. So whenever checks and balances need to be in place. So if they need to contact them, there is a point person for them to reach out to rather than having to reach out to them on Twitter, etc. There are places here in Jamaica and different screening for the drivers.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, the telecommunication companies, the two of them, one said that they weren't sure about the legality of it. And another didn't respond in time. But the Minister Vaz in Parliament said that, they want to change it where once a directive is given from the minister or from the ministry, it's not on request, but an order. But it's not banned. It's clear that it isn't banned.
He did say in Parliament, but that he had to do some legal checks, but it was a recommendation because he was given the recommendation from JCF. But he did mention that there had to be some checks in terms of the legality of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I was always wondering, like, before the ride sharing app ride sharing, before it was called a ride sharing, it was called a taxi. And and there was taxis at UTech UA that we all had to use, or the coaster buses. So I'm just like, is it really much of a hit on you guys? Like, can you talk about now the difference between regular route taxi that run that we had to take when we were going to school versus now where you have to call up an Uber? Is it that much difference?
I mean, pretty much it is in terms of convenience, because as a student service, as UTech Students Union, we do provide services. So we have a bus system called Love Bus, where we provide a bus system for persons going to various areas, such as Spanish Town, Old Harbour, Halfway Tree, those high traffic areas. So it's at reduced cost because we have a contractual arrangement with the drivers. So they carry these students for a reduced cost. One of the things that we emphasized on when there was a fee increase last year, we said to the drivers, hey, remember that we're doing this for the students, so there's no increase on our side. So we ensure that there's a flat fee across the board for persons traveling in those areas. But then it comes back to the convenience. I mean, coming out of COVID, we've been used to everything at our fingertips now because we went online. So persons, I just want to come here and I just want to leave as soon as I'm done. I don't want to sit and wait for a bus to load. So these apps coming in, it made our lives pretty easy and pretty safer. For example, leaving a party, you can just dial up your Uber, leave the party, and you're going home without having to go into the traffic or whatever to get a taxi.
I was wondering if many of your students are like doing them side jobs as Uber drivers. It's a way to earn money, extra cash. So I was wondering if that too, if you know of your cohorts, the students, if they're part of it, not just taking the ride, but part of Uber. And
there are persons who actually benefit from it being
drivers
an avenue, an avenue for them to earn income. But as I said, the safety part is very important, because even I don't remember if you remember the case with the in-driver, the student who was he was a driver from UE, from UE, and things happened. So the safety aspect, to understand why the safety aspect had to come in, and the regulations that need to be passed.
But I've always, when I first heard it, I'm like, taking a taxi, whether it's digital or you call them like you call express or on time, either way, like the same issues that we have then is the same issues we have now. It's just that it's digital. Maybe it's more of it's easily traced. Like you can say where the driver is and pinpoint them.
I mean, you know who we are taking, because all information is there. You can see history about who's traveled, so forth. So it pretty much, you feel safer because you know who you're traveling with, etc. You can share your live location, stuff like that. So persons feel a bit more comfortable going in. For example, going to Uber, you have to tell the driver the code before the ride can continue. So stuff like that, it just gives persons a more better peace of mind.
Oh yeah, there's a code?
That's new,
So as soon as you go into the cab, you have to tell the driver the code and they enter the code before they can leave.
Yeah. So it's like a special code that Uber gives you and the driver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you wish there was more communication between the minister and, groups like yourself?
And it's not even the minister, like ministries.
The ministry, the ministry.
Yeah. Before what? Imposing the ban?
Yeah, before taking this decision on the ban.
Yeah.
Or even, putting it out there that he'd want this ban to be immediate.
We can say that, yes. I mean, if you follow him on Twitter, you've been seeing where they have been saying that they are calling for the regularization from about 2021 or 2022. They were asking for the regularization and none were willing to comply. I mean, he did say that Uber was the only one who was willing to come to the table and meet. And we've seen the different safety guards that Uber has put in. So,
okay.
People are saying it's just unfair for just have this broad brush, and some people are calling it reactionary as well. So, just want to know how Uno feel about it, really and truly. If Uno feel the same way.
I mean, if they were to single out and say, okay, this one is getting banned and this one then there would be some amount of persons saying, oh, it's unfair because you're singling out my company. Or it's an attack against me. So I think just putting out general there, because he did indicate that even though there's a ban, the persons who are willing to come to the table and those who meet the requirements that they're putting forward, then the ban would be lifted from those persons.
So there was always compromise there, willing to compromise.
There was always compromise. I think we just a lot of persons didn't read the entire article because at first when I read it, that was my impression, but then I realized that there was a second page where he said that persons, even though there's a 12-month ban, persons can be removed from the list if they meet and there are talks and they have some regularization in terms of how they're operated. Yeah.
Right. And as we said, there's no ban in effect. It seems as if there's no ban in effect, all intents and purpose, because the two company them want to know, I guess, one is requesting legality of it. But so there is that's not in place right now. But as you say, UE and UTech have their own like bubble of transport bus system. So you guys are affected, but not necessarily. Not in a major way that would be disruptive to the school. Basically. It seem like? Right. Okay, good.
Cool.
And Nara was saying, like, you know, if I guess it's just like a general conversation moving forward. But when certain things are put in place or certain policies or certain laws or whatever it may be are put in place, young people aren't necessarily considered or even consulted. You know, maybe it's like after when you guys have to be like, well, what about us? What about us? Like you have to kind of raise a ruckus for people to kind of give them some sort of attention. You feel that's the way like things are put in place without any consultation for young people and young leaders especially. And how you think that we can change that?
I think that was the case back then. I think now that we're going now since the more modern age, that approach has been we're shifting away from that, because even if you realize from the Constitutional Reform Committee, you realize that Sujay Boswell, he was a representative of the youth, so he would have held consistent some engagement with the different youth groups or different school and the different leaders to get our input and then represent us at that level. So I think that they're shifting away from that now and more including us in decision making and hearing our views and what we have to say, because the reality is we are the future. We are going to be those future leaders. So we have to be included in the conversations from now.
So even when you touch on the constitutional reform, like, were you a part of any of these discussion and consultation with Sujay and I guess other groups that met?
Yeah, we were. Even recently we wrote a collective letter as the youth groups to the Prime Minister and the opposition leader, calling for civic engagement between the different between them, because it's important moving to a republic, but the people must understand why we're moving to a republic. So I think the bigger issue that needs to be addressed is the civic engagement, letting persons understand, hey, why are we doing this? Because at the end of the day, it makes no sense for us to move to a republic and persons don't understand why. So the first thing that we should start doing is learning what exists in the current constitution, and then look at what are we going to change and why are we going to change this? Because the average person will sit and say, hey, this is a waste of money. Because when you understand different levels that they'll have to go through, for example, different symbols that will have to change if we're moving the king as our head of state now to formally putting a prime minister here in Jamaica. The
or
different symbols.
I think they're saying a president, right?
Yeah,
so
president,
so Governor General will be removed, I think. And
I will have a president. So it will cost significantly, because changing all of those emblems, looking at the different ministries who will have to change their symbols and so forth, it will cost a lot. So they have to do wider consultation and let persons understand why are we doing this. And even if it goes to the point where we have to do a referendum, persons need to understand that if I am going to vote, I need to have knowledge of what I'm voting on before we can move the process forward. Else it's going to just be a waste of time, because you come with a referendum and it will fail because persons are saying, why the change? Why do we need to change?
What is your overall vision for the country under this new constitution? Do you guys see yourself fitting into this constitution that's happening?
There's a lot more to be learned. As I said, there needs to be more education on what is going on in terms of what they're proposing for the new constitution. So we need to understand different aspects, because we can see different areas where both government and opposition can't have a consensus. So we just need to understand the process a bit more. So I think the civic education is definitely needed for us to understand what exactly is going on. So we can know our place.
So you feel like you guys don't get fully what's happening in terms of how the constitution will be reformed and the benefit to us?
To an extent, yes,
Okay.
because there are different recommendations that the committee made, and there are certain areas where they couldn't reach a consensus, and they gave their opinion. So it's now up to both government and opposition to come to a consensus, or even to come to us as the people for us to do a referendum and determine the next step forward.
What more you feel them can do for engage youths on topics like this?
Really and truly just to take it in different levels, because the town halls are good, yes, but take it on a more personal level. So have informal conversations, do some patwa debates, stuff like those. Give us some pamphlets in the different schools so persons can really understand and break it down into bite-sized information. Yes, the report was good, but not a lot of persons are going to sit and read 108, I think it's 119 pages worth of a report.
Want to talk to you about like on a tuition? You see me? When all paid up on a square, like on a good. Like how hard is it to pay for tuition now for Uno?
In terms of that, in terms of subvention, really think that there should be a bigger contribution from the government to the major universities, UE, UTech, for us to continue to survive. Realize that recently in the budget that was passed, there was $1 billion decrease for both UE and UTech. Last year was $1 billion increase for both of them, because the government had indicated that they understood that the cost would go up given that we were going back face to face. But now, 1 year later, there's $1 billion decrease, and we need to understand why. Because I mean, ultimately, if the government cuts its funding from tertiary institutions, then that means the university will turn to us as the students for them to make up those deficits. And I think that's unfair. So even though the government has indicated that it needs to fund primary and secondary, I think they really need to take a broader look on it, and tertiary needs to be included, because while you're funding primary and secondary, ultimately they're going to end up in tertiary. So it means you're funding in pathway and then leaving them there at the tertiary level.
Yeah.
I remember having a discussion with someone, and they said that university education is a privilege and not a right. And that's definitely the government shouldn't necessarily be involved in it like that. It should be the onus on the students if they want to able to get entry into the university and to be able to fund it themselves. Like, that's not the mindset of UTech Student Guild, no?
Definitely not.
It's a right, not a privilege.
Correct.
But tell me more about the subvention campaign plan one have.
So we're looking at it, analyzing the different years of what the government's contribution would have been, and looking to make recommendations for the future. Because as I said before, if the government cuts its funding from tertiary education, then the universities will look to us as the students to fund that deficit, and that cannot happen, and we will not stand for that.
But I mean, when you say that, because isn't every year tuition costs go up almost every year?
Well, for UTech, during COVID, we didn't have any increases. Then out of COVID, we had a 10% increase. We, as the council, we advocated for it to be split. So it was 8 in one semester and 2 across the other. Then last year, we also had another increase of 5%. So it's something that we see that, yes, the cost is going up. The lecturers' salaries, they need to be paid. So that is going up as well. So it's increased costs on the university, and they're coming back face to face. So it's an increased cost. So costs are going up. So it's a conversation that needs to be had. We haven't had the conversation in terms of what will happen for this upcoming academic year as yet. But ultimately, as I said, I keep saying it, university tuition is not like KFC. You don't keep raising the price and expect that people are still going to pay for it.
So are you guys agitating for is it that you want to stop the increase? With this campaign that you guys having, is it to stop the increase, or what? To work a way where it's a reasonable increase overall? Like, because you're saying that it was 10 after COVID, and last year was another 5, so that's what, 15?
Yeah. So ultimately, we don't want to be paying consistently having an increase coming up. So we need to find a different avenue. So it's a campaign plan to basically get the government to fund the university more. We are the National University of Jamaica because UTech is Jamaica owned. It's the only National University of Jamaica. So ultimately, we should be treated as that. So we should be funded better.
So is it that you're having conversation with the board of UTech as well as the government? And have you already begun talks, and what's the conversation like?
Well, that is our intention, so that's where we're headed.
Okay, so that's the plan for the council. Okay.
So that's our work plan basically all summer.
Basically.
Yeah. I mean, how reasonable you think that could happen? Because, you know, many will say, well, it's inflation and everything's rising and we have to balance the cost for that. So, you know, you guys have to come up with it. We already pay a large chunk. I think it was like 80%. What's the ratio that the government pays?
Well, I don't think it's in a ratio right now because they had said that they weren't looking at that model anymore. So they're really exploring different avenues in terms of what each university will get based on what their needs are.
Okay. Because it's salary, meaning because it's to pay the teachers and the infrastructure of the school, things like that.
Basically.
Right. Okay. Are you hopeful that talks would yield some successful, like it would be a successful talk in where you can actually stop or cut off the increase?
Definitely. As my grandmother always said, nothing beat a failure but a trial.
I never really believe in that saying, but
you gotta try. You gotta try. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the theme that you have for this year. Tell us some more about it.
So restructure, refocus, re-energize. So restructure in the sense of analyzing the different processes we have, the different rules, etc., and see where we're not efficient, and then try to turn it around. So in terms of even more responses, how we respond to students, just to get that different level of engagement. Let students believe back in representation. Let them understand that, hey, we're here to represent you. Refocus in terms of getting aligned with the students' needs. So even though we have a constitution, what serves in the constitution does not necessarily serve for the time that we're representing in. So looking at areas where we need to tighten up on, looking at how we address students and re-energize in terms of getting more connection with people. So for example, currently we're revamping our Instagram page. So last year, myself and Shamir, the VPPR, we had a conversation about how we looked a bit too corporate. And even the campaigning period, students would have said, hey, we don't see you being approachable. So
yeah, and it look like I see a couple in and I said, I wanna do MP. I was like, this is UTech. You like why is it so, you know, like polished? Like, well, you know, but I mean, I thought that initially, but my next thought was then it's not just to get the students engaged too, but you have to look on the broader self and what would happen after school. So, you know, it's probably an opportunity for you guys to put yourself out there for corporate and to get work and, you know, to be seen as respectable, responsible people. So I kind of thought of it in that sense too, but.
So it's all about balancing both worlds.
Yeah. Right.
So making it where we're more relatable and also having an image so persons can know that, hey, we're trustworthy and we're reliable, but also you can come to me, I'm here for you. So just coming down on their level, persons used to say how I dressed, I looked unapproachable. So I started to like less of the suits and more dressed down.
So wait, how you win if you were so unapproachable?
I mean, if you seeing me and talking to me are two different things. So seeing me, you would have think, hey, because even the campaign period, persons that say, hey, you did seem like you're hype and whatever. But I went during the campaign period, I mean, you have to walk up to people and talk to people. So then persons that say, oh, so you did nice. Me never know. You did just look a certain way. I said, no, man. Moy-ann just come out to our meeting and thing.
Which school you used to go?
St. Catherine High.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah.
I don't worry about that. I get them thing all the time. So I don't look approachable. You know what I mean? When I do up on the road and them thing.
You're a different case.
But I think too is like, how you look is a different thing, but it's like you have to try and balance to the needs of the students as well as understanding the school's position.
Yeah.
You know, like how is a struggle for you as a council where the students want one thing, but the school is saying another thing, and you guys are really stuck in the middle. How you guys deal with things like that?
Well, it comes down to a team effort. So coming together, deliberating and see where we can meet in the middle. What's a compromise for the lecturers, but at least best for the students, because at the end of the day, we're representing the students, so we have to have the students' best interests at heart. But we also have to look at what's practical and what's not. So we have to see where we can meet them halfway, and it still doesn't put the student at a disadvantage.
I was even saying like constitutional reform, the tax thing. Are these real concerns for the students? Or like how do you gather the concerns and the needs of the population, the student population, and kind of work on the issues that that really matter to them? Not necessarily, broad topics as we mentioned, the taxi and the constitutional reform, like
how you weigh them up
Yeah.
on their level of importance.
yeah.
In gaining all of that information from the students, that really just goes back to us being really accessible. So as we could say, putting ourselves out there to kind of say, hey, we are here for you. We are here to listen. And they really do come, and there are also different avenues. So one of the things that we're going to implement is that there will be boxes around the school where students can, anonymously place their concerns or put their ID number so that we can go back and address them and say, all right, this is something that we need to fix. This is something that we need to adjust and just move forward with it.
Yeah. I mean, because you guys, the council has always been there, but like even you, like personally, are they able to come up to you and say, yo, Moy-ann, the bathroom need to fix. Darby, want like why in a parking lot? You can't bring a KFC. Are you going to have to go over to you for the KFC?
Start bringing your personal concerns.
I'm just saying. I'm giving an example. I don't know what the kids' issues are.
Why
but,
that is an example.
Do they really come up to you and tell you exactly what the issues are and like how you fetter out? Say, well, sir, this is just a you thing, or is like, no, it's a serious concern that we need to address it.
I mean, they just come and they speak, and it's not necessarily viewed from a perspective to say, oh, this is a you problem. Because a lot of the problems, there actually are general concerns, and we have to make them feel appreciated and we have to make them feel heard. We are the interim between them and the admin. So it cannot be a case where they come in and we're going to be like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Okay. Everything makes sense, really. There's never a stupid question. There's never a stupid statement. We really just have to come together as a council, lay everything out on the table and say, all right, this is probably more important than that right now, so we have to address this first, and then we can do that, and then we can do this.
And when you present the solutions to the students, especially, how receptive are they? Where it's like, well, you're not going to get everything, and you're not going to get everything at once. This is the steps and the plans. Are they usually, well, all right, can work?
Well, it really depends, because there are different interest groups at the university level. So different interest groups want different things. And we have to just explain, really about just explaining to them, hey, this is practical and this is not. You mentioned KFC. A lot of students have asked, hey, when you can get KFC on campus? I mean, we explore the option and we see what's possible and what's not. It's something that we've looked at, and where we see it's not possible, we try to find a solution, because one of the solutions we found was we brought Voda on campus, and a lot of students have been receptive to that.
Right, yeah.
So they've now brought a food truck at UTech,
nice.
And a lot of students have been receptive to that. So where we can't necessarily meet what they want, we try to get as close to it as possible.
I see. So them still want the KFC food truck though.
And I mean, as I said before, nothing beats a failure but a trial. So we always try, and then we explain to them, hey, we tried and this didn't work, but this is where we're at.
Okay. These are the difficulties in achieving.
So you mentioned the theme or the goal or the mission for the council, but like, what's one major goal that the council wants to see come to life? Like, what's the major focus for the council and that you want to see accomplished in the year that you have?
The major goal is to re-energize campus life.
No. That's general. I'm talking like one specific goal that you guys have been talking about and that you want to see come to life, to say, well, this is what my council did, cohort did, right?
Well, one of those main areas would be for our community service initiatives to get nominated for Prime Minister Youth Awards.
Okay.
So our major flagship events such as Teach the Youth and Tag Drive.
No, what's Tag Drive?
So Tag Drive is where we go around the entire country and we seek donation for different beneficiaries that we identify.
Okay, this is Moy-ann's thing. Yeah. So that's your idea.
That's my portfolio.
That's why you came up with that. The Tag Drive, that was a concept of yours?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay. So what is it? Speak more to it.
So we go around. It's basically a week of events where on the last day we go around the entire country collecting donations towards the beneficiaries that we would have selected. Every single year.
Every single parish.
Every parish.
For 1 week?
Just for one day.
One day.
Oh!
Because I I'm like, that's a lot in a day.
So they're about
Never
5
know
or
now
6
instant
routes.
transmission.
Right.
I know.
Portable, yeah.
Yeah, so there are about 5 or 6 routes. The students register. They meet at UTech and we send them off and they travel around the whole country and then there's a final stop in whatever location they choose.
So they go to corporate companies or they go to people like them just
Everywhere.
okay. And what is the charity that you're trying to donate to or what?
We have not selected those.
Oh, you've not selected. Okay. Okay, no problem. But so when would this happen?
So
Tag
Tag
Drive.
Drive this year is scheduled for the 3rd week in November.
November.
Okay.
Okay.
So again, remind the people about the summer school program, when it is, brief summary of what it entails, just reiterate what it's all about.
Yeah.
And how can companies come on board if they want, if they see this and they want to be a part of it?
All right, so Teach Youth this year will be held between the dates of July 8th to 26th. If you'd like to come on board, we have a GoFundMe page that is at our website, which is www.utechstudentsunion.com. You can contact us through our Instagram, which is at UTech Students Union. Also on X, formerly Twitter, at UTech Students Union. You can reach out to myself or to Shamir or to Rick to be involved.
It's good that you want the people to know about the GoFundMe page and not making it seem like you're not funny out on their own pocket.
Right.
That's
and not just corporate entities, but anybody,
Yeah, anybody.
who
Yeah.
want to see the benefit of it. So you guys are doing good work. It's
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you guys.
Yes.
It was
I
nice to
feel
talk
like-
to.
But before we go,
Yeah.
I have a little gift for everybody.
Ah.
Yeah.
She don't deserve none. She never used to go use it.
I don't get to use
Give them to
it.
me.
Yay.
Uncle Jervis. Yeah, and Jervis.
Gifts,
Them
gifts,
say it don't
gifts.
matter.
Watch your
Jervis
area,
went
bust
to
it
UTech.
out.
Ah, Jervis. Alright,
So
I'll try
you
convert
said
her.
Jaja.
Students.
Watch him try to take two.
You have 24 hours to respond.
That's crazy.
Don't let me down, you
That's crazy.
To serve and to represent.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, differently though, it's nice to talk to, and get to hear the concerns of the youth. Then we can actually make the people them know about one I think about one the concerns.
Yeah.
And I mean, and put it out there.
Because I know you
Read
guys
up on
have
yourself.
other things, but is it really focused on UTech and students' issues, right? You see yourself doing in broader public service in any way?
Definitely.
You want to be a politician?
No,
Talking in my
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily a politician, but for sure, I see myself continuing in a lot of community service and volunteerism, even outside of UTech.
And then you guys realize like students union, like people who in them guild, like gonna always go into bigger things.
Yeah.
I realize it's a really starting ground for you guys to do major things, like even UTech marketing, because I'm looking for certain things, and I'm like, what? You guys I thought you guys were just focused on school things, but no, you guys
expanding
are
reach from there.
expanding, and it's impressive what UTech is doing. So Yui, come on,
Irony, that's how we start off, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
right?
You take a show long, because I know, no, are you to the real people?
Facts.
The real
When they
people.
say that, what to you? When they say, because I was going to question about is the national.
It is.
It is.
So what is UA?
Use
Nothing.
original university.
Okay, that's
Regional bigger than national, so whatever.
If you want to tell yourself that, sure.
No, it's true. It's bigger than national. Okay? Because I was like,
I like the
what?
clap back.
No, but wait, yeah. Want to case.
Hey.
Want to case.
Country first.
Yep.
Country first.
Facts.
Country
Region first.
No. I know so I go. Country first.
Get
No,
the
but want
facts
to
right.
case for real, like the agricultural school of Portland.
They are definitely a good university, and we have conversations because we are all a part of JUTS.
Yeah.
So JUTS is Jamaica Union of
University.
Tertiary Students. So we all fall under that umbrella. So we do work together on different things.
Oh, like NCU too. and-
Yeah, all of them, all the
yeah.
universities in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many there actually are.
How many
Right.
universities?
So yeah,
How
there are
many?
about 36 different universities and colleges here in Jamaica. That's what I know about. There could be more.
See ya.
I don't know that much, but
I can't even name 5.
Yeah.
Like UA, UTech, case.
CMU.
NCU, CMU. Oh, my God.
St. John's College, some shit.
But you see, you're not even consider them because they're so specific. Their niche is so specific.
So there are a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Kingston,
What?
Jamaica
What?
College.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
KFC. You lame. Boo. Anyways,
Bless
okay.
up though. We're gonna have more conversations and we're gonna do some things.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some future things.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Thanks for having us.
Run away now, run away from me. I gon' break ya, I gon' break your heart one day. Cause I'm toxic in my veins and I can't control my feelings.
It's a pour down, come quench my thirst. All you do to me, you better glue to me. Make a girl chilly, you have my weak in it. You know me tight mini, and you my one give it. Come make me lock down.
Designer, designer, them eyes ya gon' hypnotize ya. Designer, designer, my body, my features. Drip, 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 drip.